Hey, cousins. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all being active. Appreciate y'all in the comments. Appreciate y'all just, again, making this journey, this hobby, this whatever we're doing and enjoying together, just a fantastic experience. I'm going to write a book and I'm going to tell everyone about my cousins. Right? I do have one thing I want to say before we get into this conversation. I actually implore cousins, new, old, and alike, please listen to me when I am talking on this podcast. Okay, I know the ghost of Cody's tongue sometimes gets a hold of me and I try to bring it back. I will be doing a seance later on, like I said before. But I think there might be a miscommunication when I'm talking about some of these pro wrestlers. Never will I ever down someone about the line of work that they're doing. Okay? Whether it's sex work or otherwise. Got to do what you got to do, because the way this economy is looking, we all going to be cracking our crab down to the OnlyFans here real soon, all right? Next thing, I am very clear about what the aim of the topic of the podcast is. Example, when I was discussing Ronda Rousey, I was not discussing Ronda's prowess in the ring. I was discussing the topic of why is she in the ring with Alexa Bliss. Okay? Very good. When I was talking about Mercedes versus Sasha, I was not talking about Sasha and Mercedes, same woman's prowess in the ring. I was talking about the decline of the presentation. So I know seeing it, when I post, seeing the banner and the title, it moves you to chorus. And then you kind of like write a lot and it's just like, I said that. At least let me know before you repeat what I said. Like, I heard you say this, I agree, and then let me know, because it seems like you're not listening to the podcast as much as you just want to kind of give your opinion. And I love it. I just want y'all to interact with the media properly so you can give a coherent response in the comments and we can have a better communicative conversation. Right? You like that? You like that professionalism? I know that's right. Give me a round of applause. That's how I have to be talking at work. I have to talk like that at work, child. And it's very difficult because I'll be like, child, you heard what the fuck I said? Let's get into this. Cora Jade. I was going to talk about this last week, but a lot of stuff done came up or whatever case may be. Listen, better late than never. I saw a TikTok of Lash legend Jakara Jackson, who is apparently hooked up with the Hardys. We got to talk about her. We got to do a curious case on Jakara. Girl. Anyway, Lash legend's boyfriend, Trick Williams, and I think that was his brother, because them two look like bookends. If it ain't his brother, something going on down south. Okay? They were doing some flips and having a good time, and I loved it. And everybody in the comments loved it, and they engaged with it, and we moved on. So Cora Jade, she was down to a podcast, not really sure what podcast she was on, but she was down to one, and she was talking about TikTok. Once again, she was down to the TMZ. TMZ Inside the Ropes is a podcast. She was down there talking about whatever she was talking about. And it came up, essentially, that Undertaker had criticized wrestlers for making TikToks. I think I talked about that ad nauseum. And social media overall. Jade explained that she had long shared the same frustrations and felt validated hearing the Undertaker speak out. She went on to say basically how she saw what the Undertaker said and how she agreed with him. And she just said that TikToks and doing stuff on their phone instead of watching and learning from the matches. And I'm like, this is what I've been saying for 3 years. I'm like, it's only after he says it that people like, yeah, he's right. And I'm like, yeah, because it's the Undertaker. Of course he's right. But I also think that. She also continued noting how it meant so much to her that he echoed her concerns. She said, when I saw him say that, I just felt so validated. I was like, thank you. Somebody else sees what my friends and I and everyone else sees. It broke our hearts because we were all wrestling fans. It got to the point where it's not my hill to die anymore, and it's not my thing to care about. First of all, she's right. It is no longer her hill to die on. It's not for her to care about, because her hill to die on is now in sex work. Again, not knocking it. Make your money. Make your money. But this comes across as you were somehow putting on clinics. If Cora Jade was actually backstage watching old footages of pro wrestlers doing their thing in the ring and showing it when she got in the ring, I would agree. But she's not. Cora Jade, here's the thing. While she was in NXT wrestling, was doing TikToks. Listen, she was doing TikToks while she was wrestling in the ring. Her and her bestie Roxanne were doing TikToks too. I don't understand. Again, let's break it down. Undertaker, Mark Calloway comes from an era where you had to sit there and watch other people's matches to the point where you would get in trouble and end up in his court. Okay? It was unspoken rules that stressed everybody the fuck out. Everyone spoke on it. No one liked it. But in the business, it is what it is. So we're going to move Mark Calloway over here. Okay? A business guy, one of the guys, one of the boys, all of that. We're going to move him over here. Let's come back over to Cora Jade, who came in as a skater girl. She's a skater girl. She said, see you later, girl, right? And over time turned into a vamp and, got some augmentations and enhancement to reflect that. I think it's hypocritical and I think it's stupid, because at the end of the day, she was doing TikToks and engaging in social media, and that same crowd has supposedly followed her over into her new endeavors of sex work. So I'm not really understanding what she's talking about. Furthermore, WWE themselves promote social media usage. They promote social media usage. I see the TikToks. I love it. I think it's fun. It shows some humanity to the wrestlers. They're not just in there, doing the latest trends. I see Rhea Ripley, for instance, is on TikTok lifting weights. Now, her comments are like just sludge of, juice and ooze from the gooners and goonettes. But again, she has opened the door and let you see how she gets her gains, let you look at her back and all that type of stuff. Roman Reigns gets on TikTok, looks in the camera, the girl's bust, and he makes you put the ones up. This is how you keep up with the stars, because everybody can't keep up with the TV shows and stuff like that. It's a lot of content. And there's nothing fucking wrong with it. This isn't 30 fucking years ago. Cora Jade can't tell me she was sitting there watching fucking Bret Hart and Stone Cold getting it in one good time. You wasn't. It's developmental. Y'all have your moments where you go back there and y'all study and y'all work supposedly with whoever is lined up to teach the talent, and y'all should be able to go function and do your thing. I think she was being really self-righteous in that regard. I love the business so much, and they're just not loving it like me. And I wanted to watch a bunch of deep wrestling matches, but they were doing TikToks, and me and Roxy, girl, shut the fuck up. This was something that a lot of people who are coming back to wrestling also complain about. You don't gotta be a fucking wrestle musclehead, brain busted ass person to enjoy the product. And then you want everybody to sit there and watch shit with you? These people coming in didn't never even watch wrestling, and WWE is recruiting them. Maybe you should go get with Paul Leviskay and tell him that the etiquette ain't etiquetting no more. Over here on Reddit, you know I like to go over there and see what the girls is chewing on. Somebody said, I feel like people are focusing on the wrong thing here. What I gather is that it's not making TikTok videos backstage the problem. It's that they're doing it in place of watching and learning from matches. She seems to be upset that there are wrestlers that are aren't fully applying themselves and allowing opportunities to learn to pass by because they're scrolling on their phones instead. Okay, great. So what? I can understand if NXT Women's Division was full of shit. I can understand that. If they was in there just fucked up and ain't nothing happening, cool. But they not. So who cares if they have a little fun? Now, this would fit more on the main roster. Because the way them girls on the main roster been performing, hey, listen. Somebody said you have the crowd that hate Cora for OnlyFans, plus you have the crowd that hate Taker for politics. And they said, read 2 clickbait headlines, 0 media literacy equals these comments. Now, this is the type of person that you would tell them to shut the fuck up. Because what are you talking about? No one said anything about Mark Calloway's politics. No one said anything. Well, yes, she said herself that she's not in this business no more. She is in the business of sex work. That is where she's at now. She no longer wrestles. Okay? Media literacy has nothing to do with any of this. It's right or wrong and doesn't make sense. There is no, I don't like that guy, Gail, but they have a point. It's always retractionary bunch of comments saying, I don't know more than you about wrestler, so they feel themselves. I don't know why people have these hot takes like they're so fucking smart. It doesn't make you look smart. It makes you look like you're in the middle of the road and you sound stupid. Listen. People's been wrestling for years. Okay? And you got a lot of people in NXT that I'm sure are in the back working all fucking day and night to give a good product. Natty has NXT and main roster wrestlers down at her dungeon all the time. I don't think it's necessary to fucking sit and watch matches all day. You either got it or you fucking don't. And the funny thing is, Cora Jade, Elena Black, you never had it. To make these type of comments, you never had it. I can understand if she was watching stuff and brought that shit to the ring, like I said. She never did. The girl could not wrestle or cut a promo. So what are you watching? Are you watching fucking Undertaker matches? Because he didn't cut promos. What were you watching while you were making TikToks in the middle of all this? Stop it. Leave these people alone. It is the sign of the time, and WWE promotes it. I'll leave this quote. Somebody said, I might consider this valid if the women were struggling instead of, carrying the whole NXT product for the last 2 years. They said, I know the idea that you have to be addicted to wrestling to be a wrestler is something the older generation is all about, but that's not the healthiest mentality to have. It's still just a job, and life should be more about that. It's obviously not affecting their work, so who cares? I love it. I'm going to leave it right there. They asked her. She answered. I just would like Elena Black to move on. Don't be like Madam Mandy. When she wants clicks and views and traction, she'll bring up the WWE. Because no one gives a fuck what she's doing outside of that. Elena, don't be that girl. You are no longer a part of the product. If you're going to speak on it with something of substance. Tell us something we don't know. Other than that, girl, just tell us when your next photo's coming out and where people could come see it. That's what you should be doing. I'm going to leave right there. Get in the comments.